and welcome everybody back once again to another coaching session once again with Amedeo Castorino alongside and Mike Nause in the booth as a color tonight. Amedeo, how are you doing on this fine, lovely Monza morning?
It's all good for me. It's evening right now, so we are in a quite different time zone, but yeah, it's everything looking good.
Hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. I see we got Mr. Rue in chat from Australia. We got people all over the world here tonight, so it's absolutely incredible. Hope everyone's ready for some coaching. If you guys are interested, we're going to be at Monza. It's GT4 Monza action in the McLaren today. We are doing a little bit of a different car as usual every single week, changing that one up. And we're going to be getting deep down into every single corner here of the Autodromo Nazionale de Monza. Out of 10?
Yeah.
Out of 10?
Yeah. You are doing pretty well.
Yeah, okay. He didn't say that before we got into the stream, so he's just being nice, but that's okay. Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
BMW, we'll maybe do the BMW next week. You never know. We'll find out soon enough in the next track. And of course, that next track, I should have probably looked at the calendar before I had said that, but of course, we are going to be following the GT4 and GT4 Open and GT4 Rookies calendar. And the next circuit, of course, is going to be Watkins Glen. We're going to go bowling, potentially. Well, let's hope not, at least. That's obvious what we're here to prevent with these track guides. But in the meantime, here's a look at all of our calendar and what we have to offer here at TRACKILICIOUS. We got the GT4 Rookies, GT4 Open. Both of those are available for signups over on SimGrid, !SimGrid in chat, or head on down to the Discord description if you are on the YouTube side of things. NASCAR Truck Series as well on Tuesdays with the iRacing GT4s on Thursday. We got a lot of GT4 action, as well as quite a bit of GT3s. We have Watkins Glen GT3s coming up for Wednesday West Coast. That's tomorrow, in case you were curious. That'll be with Sagar Bakshi. And we also have the GT3 main events on Sunday up next at COTA, everybody's favorite track, let's be honest. And Spooky Suzuki also coming up. That's a livery competition, Sun Sprint at Zandvoort and Flooded Silverstone to boot. If you're looking for any form of racing, this is certainly the place to do so. Head on over to our SimGrid, join the Discord. And speaking of Discords, if you're looking for coaching, Amedeo, why don't you tell us a little bit about your Discord?
Yeah, if someone is interested to do a coaching session privately with me, you can join, guys, my Discord, where you can find all the info about how a coaching session is built, how is the price of coaching session, basically everything that you want to know. And even if you have any question, guys, you can just contact me on Discord or in any social, basically. And yeah, if you like how I explain things, if you want to improve a bit your laps, know better how to build a setup, like, you can book a session with me for do those things.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, if you do end up booking a session with Amedeo, make sure that you tell him that TRACKILICIOUS sent you, because Amedeo, what can they get for that?
Yeah, because if you are coming from TRACKILICIOUS, basically you guys will have a 15% discount code, so you will like spend a little bit less, you know.
Big stuff there. Head on over to the Discord. Definitely check it out. Get involved there. There's a little bit of free tips. There's also, of course, that paid coaching. And again, 15% off if you do tell them that TRACKILICIOUS or Mike or whatever sent you. From over here now, Amedeo, I think we've rambled on for long enough. Why don't we get down to the track guide?
Yeah, I think it's the right moment for do it. Yeah, at the start we have just a very big stage, so there is not much to say, guys. Like, just go full throttle and that's it. Then we go to turn 1. That's a pretty tough corner because it seems to be easy, but just if you brake like 2 meters too late or 2 meters too soon, your lap time will be a lot affected, because if you go too wide, of course you will lose a lot on the exit. If you brake too soon, of course you will lose a lot on the entry. As a brake marker there, like, you brake basically a bit before the 150 meter board. It's basically in the middle between the 150 and 200 meter board, as we can see. It's pretty much in the middle, like 3/4 maybe. Yeah, so you don't have a very precise spot where you brake. What can I suggest, especially for a rookie, is maybe start to brake a little bit sooner And then if you realize that you are going too slow, you can start to release a little bit the braking, so you will not lose too much on entry. Because if you overshoot the entry, like you can't do anything because you have too much speed. And especially if you guys are in a race situation, you are behind someone, you have to think always that your speed will be faster than usual, so you have to brake even earlier than your usual braking point, or you will go too wide in that corner. A thing that you have also to do in this corner is don't, especially from third to second gear, don't shift too aggressive the gears, because it's very easy, especially with the McLaren GT4 and also with in general with the GT4, to lock the rear tires, and especially because the McLaren GT4 doesn't have the brake bias, so it's a sort of automatic brake bias. So it's quite imprecise. Like you can't never predict what the car are doing under braking with the McLaren GT4. And also, in general, the ABS of this car is is like triggering a lot under braking. So if you overshoot a bit the corner, the ABS will let your braking phase a lot longer. So make sure to don't downshift too aggressively. As you can see, like we are carrying on the brakes for a lot of time. This corner you do in second gear with the McLaren, but I think with the most of GT4 is second gear this corner. You want to stay very close to the inside curb there for prepare much better as possible the exit of the left corner. And an important thing to do, which is a common mistake, is like to kind of wait in this change direction. Like a lot of people are not going much aggressively on throttle in the change direction between turn 1 and turn 2. Basically, as you can see, I'm on 60-70% throttle application, and there you brake again another 20%. So you don't want to have like dead moments between corners. You always want to be like to use everything that you can. For the exit, you want to stay very tight on the inside curb there, very near to the orange sausage, but without touching it. And on the exit, you want to straighten your wheel as soon as possible, and you will use all the track there on the exit, very near to the gravel. We can see turn 1 again from the chase cam better, maybe. So again, you go very, very tight to the inside curb there. Go on throttle 70-80%, brake again, stay very tight on the left corner, and then prepare the exit so better as possible using all the track there on the right. And basically, it's everything from turn 1 if there is no question.
So I guess if anyone does have any questions, now is the time for sure. Let us know if you do, but I do have a question. So I guess when it comes down into that entry, you can kind of, you see you're hooking the tire right onto the edge of the fat sausage curb and the rumble strips kind of on the inside. You obviously want to avoid that sausage curb there, not touch it whatsoever, because that will just unsettle the car completely. But when you get on the throttle there, now is that because of what you were saying before with ACC, but are you trying to use the throttle to rotate the rear end of the car to kind of slingshot yourself into the first corner?
Not at all. It's basically just because you want to be faster as possible in that change direction, so like achieve much speed as possible. So you go on throttle, and you can go anyway aggressively, because it's like ACC is working, because 70% of throttle doesn't mean every time 70% of torque of the car on ACC especially when you are on low RPM. So that is why you are always aggressive on the first application on the throttle, because of that, basically.
Because you can, yeah, that makes sense. So it's not about getting, in fact, you're not at all getting the tires to spin. You're just getting the engine basically up to speed. So when you're exiting the corner, your engine's basically already kicked in, and you can just lay it down and not worry about spinning your tires then.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And I'm not seeing any questions rolling in from chat. I do see a hydrate, though. We can hydrate up a little bit. Why not? Is this the same line for the BMW or the Porsche?
Yeah, every GT4 are doing the same line in this chicane, so yeah, you can take it as an example, for sure.
Now,
Maybe the gear can change, but should be second gear for every GT4. Maybe some GT4 could be third gear, but I don't think so. So should be the same.
Now, I have one question that this is gonna, I think every single rookie is thinking in the back of their mind is, how do you avoid the turn one carnage at Monza? What is your strategy, Amedeo? Somebody who not just, by the way, this is not somebody who not just knows, oh, I'm just a driver that drives Monza. No, this is somebody who just raced in the SRO silver category on Saturday, managed to make up, 16 positions, something like that, before we don't talk about the rest. But it was a very solid drive. So we were talking about a very solid driver here that knows this track. And yeah, how do you, Amedeo, avoid the carnage, regardless of where you're at on the track?
Basically, what we have to do is not make sure to don't overshoot the entry on turn one. Like maybe, especially if you are in a position like on the group, like I was starting in P33, so pretty like in the middle of the group. And what you can do is for be very safe, like when you see the 200 meter ball or even a bit before, just lift the throttle, and when you see the people in front of you start to braking, you can brake as well. Because if you lift the throttle, you are not losing too much, but you have more time to react to what the car in front of you are doing. And another thing is, don't do, especially in the last phase, don't change direction. Like, try to stay in your place. Like, if you are on the left, stay on the left. If you are on the right, stay on the right. Don't change direction, because it will be unpredictable for the cars behind you, and that's where like the crash start. And if you have a big crash also, especially in this point, what you can do is just cut the corner, but make sure to give back the position if you gain some position. So just don't gain like 4 or 5 position with cutting turn one. And yeah, basically that's what you can do. There is no much, no much else.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, though, and one of the biggest mistakes that the rookies do is moving around at the start. You know, you go and you start and you say, oh, well, the person next to me got a slow start, which means I'm going to jump on over and I'm going to make a big lunge down the inside, make up 3, 4, 5 positions. And then they slam into the side panel of somebody, park it in the middle of the chicane, and nobody can get through, and Monza T1 ensues. So that's just basically the tip to all the rookies. As we had a little bit of a rough rookie race on Saturday, or this previous Monday, yesterday. A little bit of contact. I would like to see that avoided here at Monza. Out of all the tracks to avoid contact, this is a tough one. But discretion is the better part of valor, is typically how you can make up positions here. And even still, it's all about just staying alive to make it out of this corner, really, on the lap one. So stay in your places, guys. Stay Noah's Ark formation, down into it, and try to settle it later. Be careful, be on your best behavior, and keep your head on a swivel. Is that a good summary? And lift way early. That's one thing. Lift early, yeah. And brake when you see other people braking.
Yeah, and especially because when the group is very big, like other people, if you are sending in the last moment, can't see you because like your radar is full of cars, so you don't realize that maybe you have someone on your inside on the last moment. So that's why you don't have to do especially a move on the last moment, but make it clear before the braking zone that you are going for a move if you want to. But yeah, especially on Monza is always better to try to stay conservative, especially because as Mike said, like on the last race of SRO, like I was starting P33, and after half of the lap, I gained 10 position on SRO grid. So because people are doing some mistakes, so like you can gain more with staying out of trouble, basically, on Monza.
Yeah, and this is also a really good question from Mr. Rue here. Now, this is a driver who I've mentioned in the past, and this is kind of a hard one to explain. I'll read the question as it is and kind of let you take it from there, Amedeo. So I have a question. When I first started racing, I crashed my first race, and it always made me want to be more passive, basically. So you hold back and not be aggressive. How can you break out of the habit of being overly passive and more aggressive because you're scared that you're going to crash into people? I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a hard question, but I think like the main thing is that you need to have confidence on your car, because if you know how you can do that corner, like you know how precisely where you can brake for try and overtake, where is your limit. I think if you have to work more on that side for be aggressive after on track, because the reason why we see a lot of incidents is also because some people are not maybe that confident on how they are driving on the car, but they still want to do aggressive overtakes, and that is where the problems come, because if you are not confident about your car and you push on the limit for the an overtake, is where maybe you can lose the car and have a crash with other people. And the other thing is just if you have like an overlap, if you are side by side on a straight, you can always try to send an overtake. The thing is just don't send an overtake when you are 3-4 tenths behind another car, and try to send on the last moment with a very aggressive move. And then if a small contact happen, it's racing, it can happen. The important thing is just don't crash every race, don't be aggressive, like as I said, 3 tenths behind and send it on the inside. So that's it.
And I have another good piece of advice for you, Mr. Rue, and kind of one thing that Amedeo was hinting towards. Practice when you're in your practice sessions. I know you in particular, you like to put a lot of laps in, and this is something that I recommend everybody is drive laps. And obviously driving laps doesn't teach you how to race against everybody, but one thing you can do when you're hot lapping is practice alternate lines. So go and try to practice inside lines that you're going to be using to overtake. That way you can feel what the car is going to do, so when you do end up in a race situation and you put your car there, you know how it's going to respond. And that goes in hand with the confidence that you have with your car as well, is just not practice the racing line. Yes, sure, you can get your lap down perfectly and drive the perfect lap, which no one's going to be able to do anyways, but you need to be able to know how to drive aggressively as well, and taking those alternate lines. So practice all of the lines and see what the car does when you take them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good advice. I agree with that.
Lovely. I think that covers T1. T1 obviously
Yeah.
being the most... This will be the longest explained corner because it is the most controversial corner, as we'll just call it.
Yeah. So there we go for the second straight of the track, so nothing to say in this one. And we go for the Roggia chicane.
I guess.
And here, yeah.
There is one thing I guess we can say. So on that line, when you're coming through Curva Grande, you might as well explain the line, because you are taking a specific line there through down to the inside. You're sort of hugging the inside. I mean.
Yeah. The thing that you want to do in this corner is basically, since it's easily flat out, is stay more on the inside as possible, near to the inside curb, for just do less meters, so you are gaining because you are doing less meters basically. And don't touch the inside curb, because you can lose maybe a tiny bit of speed, because there is a bit less stability over the curb. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it from that corner. For the Roggia chicane, we want to brake at 150 meter board, maybe also like 10 meters before it's fine. We downshift to second gear here, brake in a straight line for much time as possible, and then we start to turn in basically at the start of the curb on the right, a bit after the start of the curb on the right, as we can see, like this is the moment where we start to turn in. We want to avoid again the inside curb, the orange sausage in this corner, because it will unsettle the car. And then in the right corner, that is where things can be complicated. With GT4, we can take it. So what we want to do is cut over it, because we will do less meters. We can go on throttle a lot earlier, so we will gain a lot of time with this line. What you need to do for do this line is basically make sure to be a lot on throttle when you are going over it, like 60-70%, because as we said on Imola, when you go on throttle, the front of the car will be more high, so like you are like there are less chance that the splitter of the car is touching the ground, and also the suspension will have more travel to play with, so it's better for like absorb the sausage. And what you want to do is don't touch it directly with the tires, but let it go under your car. Basically, you want precisely in the middle of your car this orange sausage for take it better. You can see maybe better from the free cam. That exactly what we want to do is have on the middle of our car, and like the bounce will be a little bit but not too bad, and you will gain a lot of time with this line. And if you are asking guys, with the GT3 you can't do this line. You can do this line only with the MG GT3 and the Nissan GT3 are the only two cars we are able to do that. With the GT4 should be, you can do it with every GT4, I think. Maybe the only one where you can struggle a bit more is the Porsche GT4, but all the other GT4s should be take it.
Now, are you doing this line in race as well?
Yeah, you can do like every time. Also because with GT4 it's pretty easy. Like even if you don't take it perfectly and you bump a little bit, or you take the gravel on the outside of that, you are still gaining a lot, because the perfect line with taking these is like 3/10 faster, 2/10.5 faster than avoid these orange sausage. So even if you take it bad, you are still gaining to a normal line, I will say. So yeah, it's always better to take it. An advice for who have the GT4, the McLaren GT4, is upshift to third gear before taking it. So like you will have lower RPM, so lower torque, so the car will be more stable, because you want to stay more on throttle as possible. So with higher gear is more simple to do that, of course.
And are we getting close to track limits by doing this at all? As John Hawley just pointed out, and I'm just going to go out and flat out say, Hawley, I think we're going to disagree with that comment, but Hawley's saying that, do you want to use maybe a safer line in your first lap in quali, or is that line safe enough to the point where you can just basically use it every single time and not have to worry about it, assuming you practiced it enough?
I think it's safe enough. Like I never take a single track limits in trying to do this corner. Can happen maybe, but you have to cut a lot on the inside. And anyway, an advice is never do like the first lap in another way, because you are a bit losing your confidence with trying different line in different laps on the official qualifying. I will advise also, because you have more than one chance usually on qualifying. You have like 4 or 5 laps to try. So I think it's always better do your normal lines. Maybe you can do mistake, but in 4 or 5 laps, 1 laps will be fine. Like hopefully, like at least for me, it's worth to do safer line in the official quali and then try to do the more competitive line. Maybe you just take it more careful with less speed, but I think it's always better to do the same line.
Makes sense. I think it's a really good piece of advice. Yeah, confidence is everything in driving at the end of the day, and yeah, makes total sense. Now, I do also want to dissect this corner just a little bit more when it comes to the actual racing, because sure, that is the quali line that you're going to be using, but this is also another corner that's issues. Yeah. There are issues. So how can some drive? Obviously, we've been over some of the ways that you can prevent. One of the biggest ways, no matter what situation you're in, if you have like if you're in P33, if you're towards the back of the pack, even mid pack, if you're lifting off the throttle early, you're doing the right thing. You're safe. Now, obviously, if you're in the mid pack and you lift off throttle, somebody behind you doesn't. You know, I mean, everyone should be lifting off the throttle. But
I mean, and the thing is, like, if the braking point is there, you want to lift the throttle like in this moment, like 20 meters earlier, so you will not lose that much time. Also, because if you then the gap in front of you will be higher, you can like also brake a bit later than your usual. So if someone is attacking you, you can defend it. Especially if you are like in P20, something like that, where you have a lot of car in front of you is where you want to do this technique of lift the throttle for be safe.
Yeah, and when it comes to taking a line, obviously, again, just give each other space, keep your head on a swivel, and be conservative. Just don't go for the dive bombs. Don't, if you're 3/10 back and you see a gap, it's not worth it because they don't see you. They're just going to turn in every single time. And you're going to be at fault, and you're going to have a pit start for that reason. So don't do that, rookies. Please do not do the dive bombs. Be patient, get the feel for the car, build the confidence, and then eventually work the overtakes as they come to you and as the pace comes as well. That's one of the more important things.
And especially, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
Okay, with the GT4 is quite hard to let work a dive bomb because I like personally notice in my practice that even if you brake like 5 meters, 2 meters later than usual, you will go wide because the ABS is triggering a lot, so your braking will be a lot longer. So if you are 3/10 behind another car, you are like 90% sure that it will not work, do a dive bomber with a GT4 because your braking phase will be a lot long. So you basically probably you will need to cut the corner because you are not making it at all. So anyways, not worth to do it. Like especially on Monza, I think like where you can send it is 1/10, maximum 2/10, but no more for sure. So yeah, from 310 it will never work on Monza. Like it's quite rare. So don't do it.
Don't do it, chat. Don't do it. And now if you could pause right here. So great question from Mr. Rue as well, and we touched on it a little bit. We'll touch on it here just again. How do you avoid bouncing on that curb through there? And we mentioned you got to get on the throttle a little bit more than you would think. It seems counterintuitive, but you got to lift the front end up when you're going over those curbs, because if you're off throttle, your car might end up bottoming out on that sausage curb, and your car is going to go whoop, and then you're going to go flying off into that gravel pit way over there. Oh my gosh, everything's reversed. It's way over there.
Yeah, basically the thing is going on throttle. Also take the correct line, like you have to take this curb with the correct angle, so you need to stay very tight on this left corner and then start to turn right like a bit before to take this curb. So you want to take this orange sausage with a bit of steer angle. You see that my steering wheel is not completely straight, but I have like 15-20 degrees of steer angle on the right. So you want to take it with the correct angle, stay on 70-60% of throttle. And yeah, that's basically how you do it. And also make sure that you take the sausage without touching it with the tires, but you need to take it the orange sausage in the middle of your car. And that is enough for avoid the bouncing. Like as you can see, I have just a small bounce, but I don't lose anything basically.
Can you do that front cam again? I think that was a really good way of showing it when you had the control F, so just from the front. That was perfect.
Oh, yeah. So we go like that. Okay, basically, as I said, you want to take it perfectly on the middle. You can take also as a reference that you want your left tires over this green and white curb, and you will be fine, basically. That's the correct line to do. And as you can see, I have just a small bounce on the front, but nothing too bad. Just need to counter steer a little bit, but I didn't touch the gravel. And even if you have a little burst bounce, like you always gain compared to avoid this orange sausage.
Makes sense. And again, if you guys are struggling with that corner, do what we just did. Go back in your replays and see where you're placing your car, because it's all about knowing where your tires is such an important part of knowing your car. And if you can drive this line consistently, that shows that you are very spatially aware on your car, and that's just going to only improve your racecraft.
Yeah, exactly. So if there are no other questions, we can go to the next corner, I guess.
We're good. Yeah, I think, like I said, those are the two biggest corners to dissect. From here, it's getting a little bit more basic. So as we go into the Lesmos.
Yeah, probably Lesmo a bit easier. Probably on the Ascari we will have to talk a bit more again. So for Lesmo 1, we don't have a brake marker properly, unfortunately. So what we can take it as a brake marker? Honestly, I don't have a brake marker, so I'm trying to find it what you can use, guys. You can maybe take it this orange part of the guardrail, I think, as a brake marker. Anyway, like you brake quite near to the corner, so shouldn't be that hard to take it. Also, you need to release the brake quite early in this corner, so it's not a hard brake corner. Um, you go to the apex quite soon in this corner, also because with the GT4, you struggle a lot with the understeer on throttle, and you can clearly see in this lap, because I need to lift again the throttle because I was struggling with the understeer. Important thing for this corner for be fast is basically uh, carrying the momentum better as possible. You want to have a good minimum speed. You can go on throttle very early, like you can take it this orange part of the guardrail is the moment where you can go on throttle, because in this lap I think I went on throttle a bit too early because I have to lift again. So if you are tight to the inside curb, you can go on throttle pretty much in this moment where you can see the orange part of the guardrail, and you can use all the track on the exit. As you can see, this is not a track limits, so basically you can go with the left tire a bit over the grass also, and you are not losing time because you are able to go sooner on throttle, so it's more what you are gaining by going sooner on throttle than what you are losing by touching the grass in this part of the track.
Where is track limits?
So yeah, it's not a track limits in this
Oh,
lap.
or where is track limits at on that corner?
Okay, basically 10 centimeters more on the left. Like when you barely touch the gravel is track limits. But
Gotcha.
anyway, like you can take it as a target, stay with the left tires on the limit to take in the grass, and it's a good line anyway. Like you don't need to go over the grass with the two tires, but even if you do, it's not a problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I think it's pretty much it from that corner. You just downshift one gear in this corner,
So you're not
and
braking, or you're braking here. Okay, so you're
yeah,
braking.
yeah, yeah. You break 100%. You start to release very early because it's quite easy to lock up the tires in this corner. So you just break 100% and start to release the braking very soon. You always want to take to carry a bit of braking, like 20% over the corner for make the car rotate faster, but don't brake too hard anyway in this corner.
Maybe
And yeah,
rookies
going up front,
can avoid
yeah.
that one. I don't know. Is that recommended for a rookie strategy? Applying the brake there about 20%. Is that something that the rookies do you think could do?
I
And are you
mean,
brake?
if they are
Oh, sorry, one question
able
at a
to do
time.
it, oh yeah,
No, nothing. My apologies.
okay. Just like if you are able to do that, it's always worth to carry brakes into the corner, because like if in this moment you are on zero braking power, you will have a lot of understeer, like the car will not rotate at all. So I think maybe you will be not precise as me, but try anyway to carrying a bit of braking into the corner. Maybe you will be also not consistent. You will travel between 10-30%. It's not too bad. It's always better do that than don't brake at all in the middle of the corner, because you will have too much understeer. So
That's
just
all.
to,
Sorry.
yeah.
No. Continue. I didn't mean to
I
interrupt you. Nothing.
mean, yeah, I just, yeah, that's was it really.
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess also, where are you braking before the orange? Where exactly? Because I know there's no real braking reference, but you're braking
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, before.
10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters before the orange, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, basically 20 meters before the orange, I will say.
Okay.
Maybe you can take a reference also. Yeah, no, there are not big reference in this corner. So yeah, you can take the orange if you want. I personally don't like because it's too much on the right compared to where I'm watching. So, but if you like, yeah, you can do it. Like break 20 meters before this orange thing.
That's a good point, though, is not a lot of people know is that your car goes where your eyes go, and that's something to always
Yeah,
keep in mind. So wherever you're looking
yeah,
typically is where you're going to drive to. And so be careful on that, yeah.
yeah. That's
But
an important thing also.
great corner, though, all in all. I think this is one of the maybe best corners to really practice trail braking on, I feel, where it's very, very much not going to punish you too hard for getting things wrong.
Yeah,
And it's a very difficult corner to get right. So if you can get that right as a rookie, you're going to be well ahead of the rest of the pack.
yeah. That's true because it's a very tough corner because it's easy to don't tail brake enough, so you have understeer or braking too much and you will have oversteer or lock up the front tires. So it's a pretty tough corner for trail braking for sure. Then we go to Lesmo 2. Luckily, we have a brake marker this time. We brake like 10 meters before the 50-meter board. An important thing there is don't overshoot the entry, like be focused on your exit because after this corner you will have a long straight, so you want to be sure that you have a good exit from that corner. You downshift to third gear, start to pointing on the apex very soon, and the ideal line is to take also the inside curb, the green carpet. For do that, again we go on throttle before hitting it, so the front of the car will be more high. And I think is that you want to go on throttle basically, yeah, before it, so you have also reference to when you should go on throttle. And as you can see, you can go 80-90% very aggressively. Also because again on the exit you can use all the track again. Like you can even go a bit wider than that. Even if you touch a bit more the grass in that corner, is not track limits. You take the track limits if with the left tires you take the gravel. So again, the K is the same thing for Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. Carrying the momentum as much as possible. You want the better minimum speed as possible, especially with GT4 because you don't have a quite powerful engine. So yeah, you want to take the a very like wider line for carrying a good speed. And that's basically it from that corner. You brake 100% also. You start to release the brake quite early also in this one, going off throttle before taking the inside curb and using all the track on the exit, and that's basically it.
And you're still holding about 20% brake, sort of similar to the previous Lesmo, where you're keeping 20% basically till the steering wheel starts to open up, or rather till the steering wheel is almost fully opened up.
In this one, like you start also to turn very early while I'm braking still a lot, as you can see. Like in this moment, I'm 30 degrees. I'm still braking 80% because I want to force a bit the car in this corner to rotate a lot in the first part because then I need to go on throttle a lot earlier than because on Lesmo 1 we go on throttle like on the apex of the corner. In this corner, we go on throttle like in the entry of the corner, so way sooner than the apex. So we need to rotate the car a lot sooner than Lesmo 1 in Lesmo 2. So I start to steer the wheel very early while I'm still braking at like 60%. Then I release quite quickly the brake in this corner because as you can see I'm already like 0% braking because like if I was carrying braking at 50% in this moment probably I will spin my car because I'm forcing too much the car. And also in this moment I want to start to go on throttle as you can see before taking the curb. Uh, like also you can see from the chase cam maybe better that I'm like forcing an oversteer on entry there. You can see like that the front is way tighter than the rear to the inside curb. That's because I was sliding a bit the car on entry. So I was able to go on throttle very early because like the front of the car is already pointing the exit of the corner. So in this corner, you don't need to trail brake a lot.
You also, chat, maybe will not get as much of a slide there. I don't think your corner is going to look as pretty as Amedeo's did right there, and don't feel bad if it doesn't.
Yeah.
You may or may not, you may be losing a couple thousandths at the end of the day if you end up carrying a little bit less speed into the corner. I mean, you're not going to be making much of a difference if you just back off the limit slightly there, because what you're doing, I feel like it's very easy to overdo that and put yourself facing the wrong way. So, ease yourself into that one, chat. That's a very high level line. So try it, practice it, and if you can get it, excellent. But don't feel terrible if you can't quite get it to look like that.
Yeah, the key is just be able to just do the correct line and be able to go on throttle as soon as possible. Maybe your speed entry will be lower. That's absolutely normal, but just be focused to do always the right line is the best way to lose less second, tenth, or what it is anyway. So be focused on your line. Don't try to overdo things because will be just worst. So
Especially at Monza.
yeah, exactly. So if there are no questions, we can go to the Ascari.
Yeah, I don't see, except for anyone or Dink Donk asking if I'm calling his corner ugly. Maybe, maybe not. I haven't seen it. We'll see on the GT4 Open. But no, I think that's it for the questions on both the chats for right now.
Okay, so we can go to the Ascari. The brake marker is this grippy line. Like you can see that the asphalt it come to gray to more black, more darker. You can take it as a brake marker. If you don't like it, you can take also the Marshall or the orange part of the guardrail. Basically, you brake 20 meters before it. But like a very precise marker is this grippy line. Basically, you just brake over it, so it's very precise brake marker. You downshift 2 gears here. Use all the track. Like you don't touch the outside curb much, but you are just on the white line with the right tires because you want to just brake more straight as possible in this corner. We start to turn in basically at the 50-meter board a bit later, maybe. Yeah, just 5 meters later. We want to cut on the inside of these bumps. For do it again, as you can see before touching the bumps, I'm going already on throttle because again, you want to raise the front of the car and that will help a lot to take it. And what you want to do is stay very tight for have a better line. For don't take the track limits, basically you want to have the right tires that are touching the curb and you will be fine with track limits. In this corner, you will have maybe to manage a bit the throttle, especially in this right corner. Like you can go, when the car is stopped to bounce there, you can go full throttle. Then you point to the right corner, you are still full throttle. And when you start to see these yellow bumps, you can start to release a bit the throttle, but don't completely, like stay always on throttle. Maybe you will be not able to stay on 80% like me, but try to stay 30, 20%. Like don't lift all the throttle because if you lift everything, the car will be more unstable over the bumps. So you can take it the first bump especially, but the last two is better to don't take it or the car will start to bounce too much. So you can just take the first one, try to don't take the second one and the third one. But you still want to stay very tight, like touching the inside curb until this moment. And then when the curb on the right will end, so you can see that the right curb is ending, is where you can start to pointing to the left corner. So you start to turn on the left. And you can cut with every GT4, you can cut these bump. There are no problem on it, as you can see. The limit for the track limits there, it's basically the grass on the left. Like you can just touch it a little bit and you're on the limit of the track limits. Like you can go tiny bit tighter than that one, but just try to aim to stay close to the inside grass without touching it. And an important thing is never stop to turn when you are approaching to this left corner, because if you go straight, like you will go to the gravel on the exit and probably also your bounce will be worse. So always keep these 20 degrees of steer angle for take it better. Like as you can see, even more if needed, like 30% in this moment, like 30 degrees, sorry. And yeah, also if you touch a little bit the gravel on the exit, it's not the end of the world, but of course the perfect line is like that without touching the gravel on the exit. And the track limits here is if you are with 4 tires over this green carpet. So like you need to touch with 2 tires this green carpet and you are fine for the track limits here. And yeah, basically in the Ascari it's very important to don't overshoot the entry, because if you go wide on the entry, all the exit will be compromised. So be focused on do a clean entry and the exit will be a lot easier. And the exit of this corner again is very important, because after the Ascari you will have another long straight before the Parabolica. So if you have a bad exit, you will lose a lot of times here. And yeah, basically it's everything I think from the Ascari. If there are any questions, Mike?
Yeah, so I have a couple questions. So when we go
Yeah.
to the entrance of Ascari, I think the entrance of Ascari is pretty clear. So if we could just back up to that. So all in all, you're basically just trying to maximize the track. The curbs on the inside, they don't matter. The AMG into the GT3s don't do this, right? I'm assuming you don't do this line GT3s, or do you?
You do.
You do. Okay, fair enough. Then
The
those curbs.
entry is identical with the GT3.
Okay.
The only difference is the exit is this curve. Some GT3 can do this line, like the McLaren GT3, the MG GT3, the Nissan GT3 can do this line. Other GT3s maybe can do, but it's quite hard to do. So other GT3 are just taking this sausage with only 2 tires, so only with the left tires. But the entry in this corner is the same with every GT3.
Okay.
With some GT3 is more easier, with other is more unstable, but every GT3 can take this line.
Okay, and so on the second part here, when we're coming into the second part of the one other thing, I will go through this one more time after this, but so we're turning in here and we're kind of hooking. Can we go into the chase cam? We're kind of hooking our tires. We're not touching the orange curbs, are we? Is kind of, I guess, what I'm looking for here the most is when we reach it. We're kind of hooking our tires. There's like a little gutter, so we touch that. But then, okay.
Yeah, we touch only the first one.
Okay.
The second one, we are close to it, but it's better to don't touch it, because if you, like, you can see that when you touch the first one, if you are focused on the rear tires, you can see that you have a bit of bouncing, just small, but it's unsettled the car a little bit. But if you have this problem, like if you take also the second, will be even worse, because the car is start to bouncing, and then you take another curb while you're bouncing, so you will be even worse, and you have very in this moment. Then you want a stable car because you want to go on the left. So basically, you take only the first sausage, and then you stay tied to it, but you don't have to take it the second one.
Gotcha. And then on the exit, you're centering your car on the yellow and black sausage curb. That's kind of it fits kind of perfectly underneath the McLaren, as it seems.
Yeah, and just the thing is, as I said, never stop to turn in this corner. Like keep your steering wheel on 20-30 degrees, because the problem is when you stop to turn. Because if you don't have enough steer angle, will be more complicated, because the angle of the car is not right for, say it simple. So there are more chances that you will have a bad bouncing if you don't steer too much in this corner.
Makes sense. And this is one corner in particular. I mentioned something earlier, and I don't think we've touched on it yet in any of these videos, but it's something that it's a more basic concept if you are struggling. One of those, sort of, this is more of the rookie tips out there. But I mentioned that your car goes where your eyes go, which is a very simple concept that people have been driving. But can you explain to that, like with vision, how important vision is whilst driving, and kind of maybe explain where you're looking and how you're transferring your eyes? Because I don't think a lot of people necessarily realize that. They're kind of just looking forward, and it's hard to explain. Why don't you take this from the expert's point of view?
Okay, basically what I can say maybe is like, okay, when you are in this corner, like in this phase, you want to watch there, because basically every time when you are driving, you want to watch where you will be in the next 50, 100 meters. So you never watch where you are now. Like you don't want to watch there. You want to watch where you want to go, because I mean it will be more complicated if you want to go there and you watch there. Like it's more complicated to go there because you are not seeing it. So you always like with your view, you are always like ahead or where you are. Like you always watch where I will be in the next 5 seconds, in the next 100 meters. That is where how you drive, how you use your eyes. And for do an example, in this corner now I'm watching there. I'm still watching there. Then I start to watch there in this moment. I'm still watching there. From this moment I start to watch there. So I always predict, and now I'm watching there. So always like before you watch and after, like you aim to that. It's basically how you do it.
Yeah, great. And you're doing that, by the way, for every single corner. This is just a general. In fact, even on the straight, as soon as you go onto the straight, I'm assuming you're looking.
Yeah.
You can't see my mouse cursor, but I'm assuming you're looking basically down towards the end of the straight on the left side where you're trying to place your car. You're always looking where you're going to place the car ahead of where you're actually placing it, because again, your car goes where your eyes go. 10 out of 10 times, and it happens. That's real life principles as well when you're driving your road car and you're looking off to the side at something, so a dog walking on the street, you're more likely to veer towards that. So always keep that in mind. It's just a concept that is applicable everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you drive like a bicycle, I will say, like everything is like that. So we go to the last corner. Brake marker again is simple. Luckily, we take the 100-meter ball for braking. We downshift 2 gears to third gear there. We want to brake with 100% braking power for a lot of time in this corner. We can brake. We just start to release in the last phase. As you can see, I'm starting to release the brakes before these. I don't know how to call it. This build, let's say.
I honestly, I don't know what a cameraman booth. I mean, I guess is a state. What would you call that, chat? A podium? What would you? I don't even know what you would call that.
Good. Basically, I mean, where you can start to release the brake is after that orange Marshall thing. Like, let's say you have to brake 100% until this moment for sure, until you see the orange Marshall thing. And then there is the phase where you can start to release the brake. Like, depends on how much speed you have, but this is pretty much the zone. And as you can see in this corner, you aim to the apex very soon. Like at the start of the corner, I'm very tight to the inside curb, and I still have the whole corner to do. Is another corner where you tail brake kinda a lot. Like, yeah. I'm still braking until I'm under the build that we see before, as you can see.
Call it a box.
And yeah, and basically as a throttle application marker, I think you can take these how you call it, like
a light post.
Yeah, this one. Basically, 10 meters before this one, you can start to go on throttle. Basically, you need to, like, you can go on throttle 10 meters before it if your line is right, like if you are tight like that. Because if you are wider, maybe you will need to wait a bit more to go on throttle. So yeah, that's why you want to stay very tight from the first part of the entry of this corner, because so you can go very soon on throttle and use all the track for the exit if you need. If you don't need, you can just do less meters as I'm doing. Especially on the last part of the corner in qualifying, you want to stay tighter on the exit for do less meters and gain a couple of thousand. And yeah, that's it for the Parabolica. There are not much to say. Only thing is make sure again to prepare better the exit, because again after this corner we will have a very long straight, so it's always worth to maybe lose a bit more on the entry but prepare well the exit.
Yeah, and of course, and we can also talk about the setup lines as well for your hot laps, and if for anyone that is curious about that as well.
Yeah, like when you are ending a lap, you want to stay very tight, as you can see. And also when you want to start the lap, actually you do the opposite, as you can see. Like when I started this lap, as you can see, I was very wide. So like on the auto lap we are qualifying, I was doing the opposite. I want to do more meter as possible, so my speed is rising up more because I'm doing more meters, and I'm not worrying about this lap because this is the auto lap, I will say. So I want to prepare the qualifying lap as better as possible. Like you will not gain a lot, but a couple of thousand are always better to have to compared to not have it.
Yeah, it's free.
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And again, on the race, basically, you want to do an average. On the racing line is stay on the middle of the track in this part of the track, or you can do also the qualifying line, like the end of the lap of qualifying also on the racing line. For sure, you don't want to do like the line that I show you before, going all wide for in this part on the race. It's not worth to do it. You will lose time.
Yeah, and we also have one more question, I suppose, for another one for turn one. How would you, do you prefer overtaking on the inside or the outside of turn? I guess it's more just a question than necessarily a breakdown. But where would you rather be if you're going for an overtake into the first corner here at Monza? Because that is the best overtaking opportunity after all.
It's quite hard. I think, let's say, for attack another driver, so if I have to gain a position, I want to take the inside. But for defend, I will stay in the outside usually, because for not losing too much time, especially like if I'm not first but I'm in a group of driver, because you can also defend on the outside, because on the outside you can break a bit later and manage to have the inside for turn 2, but it's quite hard because it's quite a 50-50 situation honestly on this track. But in the SRO race I made a lot of overtake on the inside here, and basically what you can do is don't brake too late, like try to brake kinda safe, like where you brake usually, so you are like controlling the other car on the outside, so you stay like on the same, like you are carrying the car on your outside every time on your left, and then on the last part you can release the brake. So like for example, this is the car on the outside, this is the car on the inside. Like you are braking like that. On the last part you release the brake, so you go ahead, and you need to try to complete the overtake before, like in this moment. So you can release the brake in this phase, go wide, and like complete the overtake if you are on the inside. That's how you do it.
Makes sense.
So basically breaking this moment, same as usual. And like in this phase, in the last phase, you can release, like now I'm breaking 100% as you can see. If you are trying on an overtake, maybe in this phase you can break only 50%, so you release the brake more. So you will try to complete the overtake on the last phase. Because doing it in the first phase is quite hard, because you need to be very precise, because if you brake too much late on the first phase, you will go wide and you will not able to complete the corner. if you do like that, you are more under control of the situation because you just release the brake on the last phase.
Yeah. And another thing is, a lot of the times you're not really going to get the choice on what side you get to overtake on,
Yeah,
because if you're
exactly.
trying to overtake somebody wherever they defend, you're probably just going to do the opposite of what they're doing, more than likely. That's the way that you overtake after all. So if you have the opportunity, I think the only way you're going to get the chance to make a move to the inside is A, if the driver allows you to, which is probably not going to happen, or B, if you get a really, really good run out of Parabolica and you can get side by side very early on down the start-finish straight and place yourself on the inside, basically, and block out the other car on the out. Other than that, again, it's going to be really dictated by the defender in which way you go.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you're defending and you want to defend the outside, I will advise to don't stay like on the perfect line like that, so all on the left, but stay like half a car more on the middle, so they still will not able to take your outside, but they have to stay very on the inside for that corner, so there is more chance that they are losing their braking point because they have to brake a lot on the inside. So if you're defending, I will suggesting to, if you are defending and you want to stay on the outside, stay like half a car more on the right that this line, and maybe on the last part you can go diagonally for have the perfect line. So you are braking more like in this position and do like that, go a bit diagonally on the last phase for have the best line then.
Makes sense. Now, I think that answers most of the questions. Amedeo, do we want to just do one full speed lap here with a brief an explanation of you going through all the corners? Yeah, I think that's going to do it for all of that. And let me just double check the YouTube side of things. The correct question is Verstappen or Hamilton's fault. Okay. No comment.
Yeah, we don't comment that because for sure someone will be angry. So we'll say 50-50. Yeah. Or don't comment, I don't know.
Alrighty,
We
Amedeo,
go
take
over
it
it.
away.
Yeah, that's better. Safer option. So we can start with the lap, I guess. So we want to prepare better as possible the lap by going wide and do more meter as possible. Then for turn 1, we take as a brake marker the 150 meter board. We brake like 15 meters before that, downshift to second gear. Stay very tight to both the orange sausage, use all the track for the exit. And then we go to another long straight where we want to do less meter as possible for these turn 3s. Like we want to stay tight for do less meters and gaining a couple of thousand. Then for the Variante Roger, we brake at the 150 meter board, downshift to second gear, stay very tight to the left corner, then upshift to third gear, cutting the orange sausage, use all the track on the exit. Then we go for Lesmo 1, downshift to third gear, stay very tight on the inside, go very soon on throttle, use all the track on the exit. Lesmo 2, we brake before the 50 meter boards, downshift to 1 gear, go on throttle before the inside curb and use all the track again on the exit. Then we have another straight, and for the Ascari we can take as a brake marker the grippy line, the darker line, or before the Marshall on the right. We downshift to third gear, we cut on the inside. We want to stay very tight on the right, and we can cut everything on the left for the exit of the Ascari and use the track on the exit as well. We go for the last straight before the Parabolica. The brake marker will be the 100 meters brake marker, brake board. We went to the apex very early in this corner. We want to stay very tight, downshift to third gear, going off throttle nice and early, stay very tight and do less meter as possible for completing your qualifying lap. So you will gain a couple of thousand, and yeah, that's a lap around Imola on the McLaren GT4. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Be careful on turn one because it's very easy to come after turn one with 1 minute of damage. So, as I said, turn one, lift the throttle 50 meters before your user braking marker, and then start to brake. And yeah, take it safely.
Absolutely. And don't worry, chat. I was muted there briefly. I didn't say anything too important. I was just asking Amedeo to say, how can the rookies stay safe? And that is, rookies, how you can stay safe. Anyways, that is going to do it here for tonight, chat, or wherever you are in this fine world. Afternoon in the States, night if you are over in the Italy, and of course this being the home circuit here of Amedeo. It's very true, very proud Italian, I know.
Yeah.
Either way, I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Join us for the rookie race this coming Monday at Monza. If you guys are also interested, coaching sessions for Amedeo here. If you guys have the link pinned up in the Twitch chat, also down in the description over on YouTube, 15% off of coaching for Amedeo. Come on. You guys get more if you guys want. So it's available. Head on over to his Discord. Join for the advice. But until next time, I hope everyone has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, guys. Good night.